Evening greetings, one and all. William Theo here, homegrown and happy to bring you PTV News Now. Tonight we begin with one of the government's paramount concerns, security, both physically in the nation's terrestrial and maritime territories and EEZ, and virtually in the domain of cyberspace to protect the nation's information systems and communications networks. And Department of Information and Communications Technology Undersecretary Jeffrey Ian D. gave his assessment declaring the status of the country's cybersecurity as significantly improved, stressing having put in place better detection and response mechanisms. In the latest palace briefing, D said the country has adopted new techniques and protocols that have worked against malicious attacks and intrusion attempts by hackers. Likewise, he cited the touted exchanges of key information and best practices with local and international partners and allies. Still, he said, there is a whole lot more room for improvement, citing the gains in cybersecurity protection and reinforcement of the country's information systems are just scratching the surface. And a day after his face-off with U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant met with his American counterpart Lloyd Austin, who echoed Blinken's entreaty to seek a diplomatic pathway out of a worsening conflict with the Iranian-backed Hezbollah in the Israel's northern border. VOA's Catherine Gibson has the full report.
Concern growing Tuesday as increased shelling at the Israel-Lebanon border raises the prospect of a broader regional conflict. Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant continued his Washington meetings, joining Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin at the Pentagon, who called for a diplomatic solution.
Hezbollah's provocations threaten to drag the Israeli and Lebanese people into a war that they do not want. Such a war would be a catastrophe for Lebanon, and it would be devastating for innocent Israeli and Lebanese civilians.
Gallant said Israel was at a crossroads that would impact the entire Middle East.
In the north, we are determined to establish security, changing reality on the ground, and bringing our communities safely back home.
Israel has rejected Hamas's demand that a temporary ceasefire in the 8-month-old conflict would result in the end of the war. One analyst told VOA that Gallant is a key link for the United States as it continues those negotiations.
The Biden administration has generally seen Defense Minister Gallant as an actual ally in this endeavor. Gallant, of note, sort of offered his own post-war plan several months ago. It wasn't bought off by the Netanyahu administration. So I think Secretary Austin and Secretary Blinken believe that they have some sort of willing partner in Gallant that could be a sort of useful intermediary with the Netanyahu government.
The war began October 7th when Hamas launched a surprise attack on Israel, killing 1,200 people and taking some 240 people hostage. Gaza's health ministry, which does not distinguish civilians from combatants, says more than 37,000 Palestinians have died since the beginning of hostilities. At the United Nations Tuesday, Humanitarian Affairs Officer Yasmina Guerda warned that the situation in Gaza is dire.
None of them have living conditions. What they have, if you look closely, is survival conditions, and barely. They're holding on by a thread.
The U.S. State Department said Tuesday many land aid convoys in Gaza are not reaching civilians due to criminal targeting.
The work remains ongoing. The situation is still incredibly dire. We need to continue to get more humanitarian assistance into the north and, of course, address the stagnation and, in some cases, the reversal in situation in the south.
Miller said an end to the conflict is the only reliable way to end the suffering in Gaza. Catherine Gibson, VOA News.
At this moment, we turn to my colleague in our PTV Baguio City station to get us up to speed with what's hot in the Cordilleras. Ala?
Naimbag Arab di Pilipinas, nadan iti katulagan ti Pangasinan PLGU kan PhilHealth para iti panagbayad iti premium contribution nagiti job order kan contract of service employee. Iti sidong ti Group Enrollment Program ti Gobyerno Probinsyal ti agmayad iti PhilHealth Premium Contribution ti nasruk 2,000 upat agasot a job orders kan contract of service. Saan ang makasay iti sweldo dagiti empleyado ti kontribusyon akatukad ti 5% iti binulan a sweldo da. Sugon iti PhilHealth ti Pangasinan ti kaunaan a probinsya iti Pagilian anang ramid ditoy wenno mga ramid iti daytoy. Kinunamot ni Governor Roman Guico III arumbong lang ang mabigbig kan may kan iti patag ti kontribusyon dagiti empleyado ti gobyerno probinsyal. Iti sa Balipay a damag nakumpiskar ti nasaruk 300,000 pesos agatad ti illegal a droga ken natiliw ti dua a drug personalities iti nagsina nga anti-illegal drugs operations iti Benguet. Iti bugjas natiliw ti 34-year-old male a high-value individual iti bypass operation ti Bulisya. Nagilako ti suspect iti 22.28 grams ti maatap a shabu nga gatad iti nasaruk 150,000 pesos. Iti matlatil da natiliw mo ti 29-year-old male a nagimot iti 2 grams ti marijuana fruiting tops ken 0.5 grams ti maatap a shabu. Kapiyatan na iti nagsisina a marijuana eradication operations. Dinadael dagiti otoridad ti 750 fully grown marijuana plants nga gatad iti 150,000 pesos iti Sitio Liang, Barangay Kayapa, Bakon. Napuuran iti mismo plantation site dagiti nadiskubre ang marijuana plants. Dagiti damdamag manipod dito'y PTV Cordillera, shot ni Ana Sunduan, na imag arabii.
Thank you, Ala, and that's a wrap for tonight. Join us again tomorrow evening, same time, same location on your remote and or browser. And always stay connected by catching the news right here. This is William Theo wishing everyone a cooler and more restful night ahead.